thank you very much. It was really interesting. I have to say that for a moment we reached 94 attendees, so it was surely because it was a very interesting panel. I like it that, as I say in the beginning, we have learned. I hope so. And now we have to change, but it's also a very interesting, as everything in this meeting, of course. No, sorry, it's also a very interesting discussion. It's related to, to informing decision makers. So we are going to the second step as we explained it. And it will be Carles Castel from the Barcelona Council, a person that have been already engaged in our project. He presented a great good practices related to informing decision making, the SIT shell. And also we have performed a video from this project related to this good practice. So he has, you have our confidence, Carles. Please go ahead and welcome again to Progress.
So good morning, and thank you very much, Enrique, and all the organizers for inviting us to share this session, and to all the participants for being here. Really very nice and great number of people interested in these items. So 90 people is very much people. So very welcome to all of you, and we really hope that this second panel will be at least as interesting as has been the first one. That really been excellent. Congratulations to all my president, the speakers, and let's go directly to this second panel that, as Enrique introduced, is about informing decision makers with mapping and definition tools. So it's a little bit for moving from science and data and information to application in all kind of decision making, from planning, managing, evaluating, etc. And let's go directly to the three presentations, and then we'll have half an hour for discussing and for questions about it. And I'm sure that the three best practices are really very interesting for all of us, and will be a very good starting point for our later discussion. So without any more delays, let's go to the first panelist. This is Zane Libiete from Latvian State Forest Research Institute, SILAVA, and it's about forest ecosystem services mapping and assessment methodology that I'm sure will be of big interest for all of you. So please, Anna, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me, and I will now try to share. Great.
I'm sorry about it. You know, you have about around 7 minutes, more or less. So 1 minute before, I will give you a call. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will try to keep the time. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
You can, okay.
Yes, Anna, go ahead. Yep.
Okay. So I'm starting my presentation now. So yes, about the mapping and assessment of forest ecosystem services. Why do we need such a thing? A little bit, very short background at first. Because forests in Latvia, they take up more than half of the country area, and one half of the forest is managed for the public. So it is not private forest, it is public forest. And according to the law of forests, this management of the forest needs to be economically, ecological, and socially sustainable. And in Latvia, we have also a thing which is quite common to everyone's right, that the forest is freely accessible to the public unless it is restricted by some private owner or it is located in a strict nature reserve. And forests are very often used for various purposes beside timber production. It includes gathering of non-wood forest products, which is quite popular pastime in Latvia, and also forest recreation. And thus, the demand for multiple ecosystem services from forests is especially high with regard to these public forest areas. And therefore, in 2016, we started an initiative together with the joint stock company Latvia State Forests, who is the manager of all public forests in Latvia. There was launched this research program, The Impact of Forest Management on Forest and Related Ecosystem Services. And one of activities of this research program was the development of the methodology for assessment and mapping of forest ecosystem services. And this methodology is consistent with mapping and assessment of ecosystem services, this European level process, MAES 2020. And basically it follows the general framework that ecosystem services are the link that links ecosystems and their condition with people and their welfare. So people get from ecosystems various kinds of ecosystem services, and then people influence these ecosystems again through different drivers of change, including various kinds of pressures. This methodology and it uses a common international classification of ecosystem services, which was developed by the European Environment Agency, and this classification has three sections basically. It's provisioning ecosystem services, regulation and maintenance ecosystem services, and cultural ecosystem services. The basic steps for the application of this methodology you can also see on the screen. So at first we have to start with the questions. What do we want to learn, to know about our area of interest specifically. And then we need to define and map the ecosystem types in the area of our interest. When these ecosystem types are mapped, then we need to identify and quantify the pressures on these ecosystems. And then we have to characterize the ecosystem condition, the indicators. There are a specific set of indicators for that. And after that, we define the ecosystem services we are interested in, and we develop indicators and indicator scales for these specific ecosystem services that we are interested in. Then the next step is the quantification and the mapping of these ecosystem services. Then there is integrated ecosystem assessment, and then hopefully we have our questions answered. Of course, the question then there is it is possible to repeat this process after some time and to see some dynamics and so on and so forth. The mapping method, for the mapping method, we use the matrix model, which is proposed by Burkhard and his colleagues. And this matrix model is simple in application, and it provides easily comprehensive data which are suitable for mapping. And in this case, ecosystem service estimates are provided as comparable semi-quantitative units, and these units allow us for comparison across different ecosystem service classes. This matrix model, it can use both expert evaluation and also the data from models and direct measurements and biophysical data. The first step is the development of the base map for the area of interest. And this base map is afterwards divided into special units. This map distinguishes then land cover classes, preferably specific land cover use classes that are understood as these ecosystem service providing units. And these identified special units or ecosystem service providing units that then form this matrix rows, as you can see in the figure. Then ecosystem service classes are identified, and ecosystem service evaluation indicators for each of these ecosystem service classes are also developed. The indicators form this matrix columns. These indicators are then assigned to each spatial unit. Scales for each indicator need to be developed. The scales range from 0, where specific ecosystem service is not provided, to 5 when the ecosystem service value in the specific spatial unit is very high. And then evaluation of the ecosystem services in the spatial units takes place afterwards. So the input data for forest ecosystem service evaluation, in our case, our smallest spatial unit is a forest compartment. So at first, this land use identification, it is based on forest land types, which is like forest land, clearing, wet areas, and so on and so forth. And further, these analyzed spatial units, then compartments, they can be divided according to the parameters of each forest stand. Each forest stand in the database, it is assigned a number of characteristic parameters like age, forest type, dominant tree species, and so on and so forth. So ecosystem service classes are then from Common International Classification of Ecosystem Services, and these evaluation indicators, they are generally based on the already existing recommendations, for example, publication within this MAES framework, but where data were available, we developed also more detailed new indicators based on literature sources and expert evaluation. The scales developed, they were also developed according to information from previous and current research and published literature. And in the case of forest ecosystems, it is very fortunate that this detailed characterization of forest ecosystems enables quite detailed assessment. And also in most of the cases, it is possible to use biophysical indicators. In our case,
you have 1 more minute.
Okay, I guess I will, maybe. Yeah. The developed indicators, they pertain to provisioning in sections, they pertain to timber and energy wood, non-wood forest products, and hunting, game in this case. Regulation, they pertain to carbon, oxygen, some biodiversity indicators, noise attenuation, soil erosion. And in cultural ecosystem services, they pertain to suitability of forest for recreation, suitability of forest for hunting as a recreational activity, and also visual attractiveness of the forest landscape. This method was tested in typical forest for Latvian conditions, typical forest area, forested catchment with forest cover with more than 90%, with more than 90% managed by GSC Latvian State Forests, and diverse management activities were implemented. We also tested this short-term changes in this ecosystem service provision according to these calculated indicators, and also some hot and cold spots, which, yeah, I will not go into results here, but just the last slide about application and next steps. So application, it enables more versatile and detailed assessment of forest ecosystems in this case. And in this case, this integration, it is possible to integrate this assessment of ecosystem services in the forest compartment attributes. So it is possible that in this database, each forest compartment has also this forest ecosystem service value. And it then, accordingly, it aids planning. For example, identification of areas with highest or lowest ecosystem service provision, identification of trade-offs and synergies, and overall it promotes multifunctional forest management. To-do list for 2021, there is a complementing of the framework with indicators that describe additional cultural ecosystem services, which are currently quite underrepresented in this case, and also upscaling the existing indicators to the whole country, including all Latvian forests, and also increasing the visibility of the method and results, and working on the economic assessment and demand side of the forest ecosystem services. So there is also an ongoing project for that, so we will be able to continue our work in this direction, and we hope also to have some more results considering the whole area of Latvia. And this is all I wanted to say. Thank you for your attention, and I'm very glad to have been here and to share my work. Thank you.
Thank you, Zana. Thank you very much. Sorry for having to hurry you up. But I'm sure that during the debate you will have the opportunity to go in depth in some of your the details of your very interesting experience. So let's move to the second panelist. This is Victor Granda from CREAF, the Ecological Research Institute here in Barcelona, for the presentation of the initiative of the Catalan Forestry Laboratory. So Victor, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Hi, everyone. I'm Victor Granda. I'm going to try to share the screen now. Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the Catalonian Forestry Lab initiative. It's focused in forest data transfer. And first of all, this short explanation about what is the LFC, what is the Catalonian Forestry Lab. It's an initiative to make available to the public, being expert or beginner, all the information and data related to forest that has been generated in different kind of research projects in both forestry research centers in Catalonia, the CREAF and the CPFC. It's part of the, or it will be part of the Catalonian Forest Web Portal, the future Catalonian Forest Web Portal, along with the Catalonian Forestry Observatory. And as I said before, it's mainly focused on specialized forest knowledge transfer. What are the LFC objectives? Main objective is to build an interlinked data hub of forest data for Catalonia. So we collect different research that is done in these research centers, and we create and maintain and make available all this information to provide creative and useful data for decision makers. Also, we do a specialized knowledge transfer focused on administration technicians, researchers, students, and the general public. To build this, we need to, as I said, collect all the research data. We need to build databases, available databases for all these different data, and these databases has to be linked with each other to be able to have to offer the big picture. So what we can find on the LFC right now. At the moment, we have built several databases that are already available to the public and decision makers. The first of all, the biggest one, is the Spanish National Forest Inventory for Catalonia. It's offered via web app that allows us to visualize, summarize, and download all the data of the Spanish National Forest Inventory for Catalonia. This means forest data starting from the 90s to now, basically, which give us a pretty big picture of how forests are evolving in Catalonia, and also offers different tools for visualizing, for downloading this data, and even to work with this data. We also have a Forest Ecosystem Services database for Catalonia, also linked with the National Forest Inventory plots. So we also have dynamic information about how Forest Ecosystem Services evolves in Catalonia. And this database allows us to explore, visualize, and also summarize and download all the information that we have about Forest Ecosystem Services in Catalonia. We also have another database with the LiDAR ecophysiological data for Catalonian forests. We collaborate with the Catalonian administration that has flights with to obtain this data from different kinds of photographs and different kind of wavelengths. And all of these ecophysiological variables that can be calculated based also again in the about the National Forest Inventory is available in this app and in this database. We have tree allometries database that allow us to convert different measures in the forest. To, for example, different measures of height of trees or diameter of trees in biomass or other kind of tree-related variables that sometimes are very important to know how the forests are evolving, and also how to act in this kind of forests. We also have databases with meteorology data and interpolation, and meteorology data for interpolation and scaling. So we we offer interpolation of daily meteorological data based on the public available meteorological data for Catalonia for the automatic meteorology stations network in Catalonia and also in Spain. And the last
1 minute, one more minute.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the last available database that we had the last month is data about the forest water balance and drought and fire risk in Catalonia, based in different statistical models and physiological variables measured and offered in the other databases. So the good practices of the LFC is designing robust and easy to update database to maintain in a long time and be able to update new data. Make all this process reproducible. We can create all of these again if we need it using open tools, and also the user feedback. We offer these apps to not only the general public, also to the administration, and they give us feedback to improve and to expand our databases. If all these good practices are put in good use, this could be upgradable and exportable to any region. And that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you, Mario. It's Victor, and sorry again.
No, it's okay because.
Okay, we'll have more time for debate and to go in depth with all these aspects. So many thanks for this inspiring presentation. Let's go to the third panelist. This is Eduard Trapat from ARCA, Catalonia Rural Initiatives, and the title of the Sprite experience is Definition and Indicators for the Characterization of the Agricultural Area. So let's move from forest, the two first one, I think from forest and go to agricultural areas. So welcome, Eduard, and thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Carles, and hi, everybody. I share my presentation first. See if it works. Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
You can now. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I can see you now, just now, but I try. I go ahead, and if there is some technological problem, you can tell me. Okay. So first of all, hi everybody, and thank you to Enrique and the whole Progress project to give me the opportunity to explain the work we did from the Rural World Foundation and the Agri-Territory Foundation. I'll try to summarize it in 5 minutes. So it's complicated because it's a work of 4 years. But I wanted to say before starting that the main objective of the project was to put in the same table experts with different opinions and positions towards agricultural space to work together and take decisions about the valorization of those spaces. Of course, define the concept of agricultural space and a list of indicators was also the objective of all the project, but working together was the first objective. I think you can have access to a resume of the project to have more information, or after we can talk more about it. So we start. We work the project in 2 different phases and using the workshop as methodology. In the first phase, as you can see in the slide, we established a consensus on the concept of agricultural space and define a list of indicators to classify it. And we worked it during 2 years, and the main challenge achieved was that the concept of the agricultural space and the list of indicators that we have decided were included in the preliminary draft documents of the Law of Agricultural Space of Catalonia that finally was approved 2 years ago. I want to notice that it's very important that in the workshop that we had institutions that had the knowledge about agrarian soil and agrarian activity and the public administration. That permitted us to work from different point of views the agricultural space. I want to notice this because for us, the worst way to inform decision makers about agricultural information or any other information is to make them part of the process of generating this same information. Because if we do it this way, during the process you have the possibility to solve practical problems or barriers that can be, for example, legislative, political, having to do with administration processes, etc. So it's very important to include the decision makers into the process of making the information we are talking about. The second, sorry. In the second phase, we developed the protocol for the methodological analysis of the characterization of the agricultural areas of Catalonia in GIS. In this case, we work with two different workshops. The workshop of the first phase that had the objective to validate the results, but we had also a specific workshop with GIS experts to develop the different maps and indicators of the protocol. And the main challenge achieved is that we had a real implementation in the PND region planification strategy, of course with some adaptations in the indicators, in the scale, etc. The work participants that you can see in this slide were, and as I said, private and public, and were, for example, the Regional Ministry of Agriculture, the Regional Ministry of Territory Management, agrarian unions, universities, landscape observatory, the Barcelona Council. I think Carles was engaged in the project in the very beginning, Forest Science and Technology Center of Catalonia, the Rural World Foundation, and the Agroterritory Foundation. And in this slide, you can see a diagram of the two phases of the project and a list of indicators, which includes, between others, agricultural productivity, the degree of biodiversity, the value of the landscape, the productive model or its vulnerable areas, and others. It's good to notice that, as you can see, we consider the agrarian space as the sum of the farming space, the cattle space, and also the silviculture space. So forestry was very important in the project and in the fabrication of the indicators. And then we developed the protocol. And here you can see a summary of the categorization of each indicator and a group of indicators, and a synthesis of the different indicators, and finally the map, the agricultural space value map, as the result of all the work we have done during those 4 years. So for me, thank you, and if you have some questions.
Thank you very much, Eduardo.
I don't know. Aquí.
Yeah, if you can.
Sorry.
No.
Okay, thank you,
Eduardo. It's nice to see this project that I was involved many years ago in another life. Okay, so thank you very much to 3 presenters, and I have seen some questions in the chat. I'm sure that Enrique will introduce later, and as well as some additional information, websites for more information and details about information and methodologies and all that. But please let me start with a common question to all the three presenters, that it's more related to the last stage of your work. That means real application. I'm really very interested to this, because I work from the other part, let's say from my administration, and we had nice experiences in real application of scientific data. And in this last presentation from Eduardo, we saw a couple of examples of challenges that you achieved that I know from a little bit, but I think that people attending this seminar will be interested if you can give us some concrete examples that, in addition to transform, make available, and to deliver information for decision makers, if you can give us, as far as you know, some concrete mechanism, some working group with decision makers, and any specific mechanism that you know that has been key for really applying this information in decision makers. So if you have concrete examples of application of the information you showed us in concrete planning, managing, or evaluation of public policies, of a concrete project that you can say, so our information has been really useful to have more integrated or more valuable or more sustainable projects from the decision maker point of view. So can you start, Zana, for instance? You have concrete examples of application of the interesting information you showed?
Okay.
Thank
well,
you.
I cannot really speak about implementation yet, because this was an enterprise-funded research, this development of the methodology, and the information is now, the enterprise has all this information and algorithms and so forth, and they can use it in their planning processes and introduce them into their forest databases. But we have also presented this methodology and this ecosystem service evaluation principles in like national. There is we have in Latvia the national platform for discussion forum for ecosystem services, where like different sectors come together and discuss different initiatives related to different types of ecosystems. We do not have a national forest, like we do not have a national ecosystem service assessment in Latvia yet, but we have different initiatives related to different ecosystems, and we have also presented this our initiative there. And we hope that, considering the fact that we have some funding for the next year to continue this work, that then maybe in quite near future we will have a possibility to bring all this together and to develop a nationwide ecosystem service assessment. So that's one of the examples I can give.
Okay, thank you, Zana. And Victor, any mechanism, any bridge between the scientific centers and decision makers that help and ensure the application of the information you are delivering? Any example, any initiative? Thank you.
Yeah, well, we know for sure that the administration is interested, because some of the databases are a directly request of the administration. But the example that I like is, for example, this last database that we added, the fire and drought risk assessment in Catalonia. We know that because we have been collaborated before, it's been used as one of the sources of the data to assess the alert levels for fire risk in Catalonia. All the daily maps that the administration provides are well, they use part of our data, this data that we show in this database, to calculate that alert level system.
Okay, thank you, Victor. Very interesting. And Eduardo, some details about, for instance, that example you showed about the planification of Penedès region. Some details about it. What were the key points that ensure that your information was was used in this planning process? Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Yeah, to add some information, the PND region planification strategy has to be approved now in 2021, so it will become real in brief. And the key of have this real implementation was that in the first workshop, in the first phase, in the first workshop, the Ministry of Territory Management was involved in the workshop, and they found very interesting to try to implement the different indicators and the methodology in a real strategy planification. And we started to work a parallel workshop to work the different indicators and the scale and the parameters of each indicator to adapt it to the PND region. This is one thing. We worked another experimental in the Lleida region, a very agrarian region in Catalonia, to see if the indicators for all Catalonia were correct and to adapt the different indicators too. So, but this one is not a public, or a really implementation. It's an experimental, a pilot. And then only say that we have in Catalonia the law of agricultural spaces, but that for the moment is not developed. So we know that the law includes our definition of agricultural spaces and the indicators that we work, but we have to, or it has to be developed, the law has to be developed in Catalonia, so we don't know at the end how it will work.
Okay, thank you, Eduard. I don't know, Enrique, would you like to introduce some questions from the chat or to give the floor to some of the people attending? Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, there is a lot of questions here. Besnik is really interested in the tool that Victor has presented, and his principal question, and we have talked about it, is if it is applicable to urban green spaces. It is possible if the data is available, but he has a lot of questions, so I probably let him ask directly to you about all these doubts. Sorry, who is sharing the screen already?
Yeah, thank you, Enrique. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Victor, for your presentation, which I really liked very much. And I believe there is a great interest also from the city administrations that would like to develop their own observatories of the public and private green, because there are, this is helpful for the urban planning departments. It's important for the statistics department, which is many times during the year, let's say, asked from the different surveys to provide the data on urban green, both public and private. And this is also becoming today with the coronavirus crisis, is becoming, the green, the public green is becoming more and more a competitiveness factor now for the cities. So my question is, do you see your Catalonian Forest Observatory also applicable for urban areas, and how do you ensure a continuous update of the data now there? And then I have also a couple of shorter questions in the chat, if you can answer them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the interest and the question. Okay, so not all the databases of the laboratory that we have already published can be translated to a city, a city level, but most of them they can. The thing is, we work basically in municipality or plots or municipality level, and we have bigger levels, also province level. But if you have the data with enough resolution to plot the city, you can do this kind of observatory with the green areas of private and public green areas of the cities. Yeah, it's possible to export this model to smaller areas than the ones that we have for Catalonia in the observatory. And also about how we ensure the continuous updating of data is depending on the database. For example, the National Forest Inventory database is done about each 10 years. So in this case, it's waiting for the next version of the National Forest Inventory and update the databases. In other cases, for example, like the meteorological data or the drought and fire risk, there is a daily update. And to be able to do that, you have to build first a robust database and write the data flows to be able to update that data daily. We have that. We use our programming to do that. We download all the station data every night, and we build the models and we build the interpolations during the night, and we publish that first time in the morning. So yeah, there is these two levels. There is like static data that can be updated every 10 years or every LIDAR flight or whatever. And you have daily data that we can update with these data flows. I hope that this answers your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. And also, is it possible to query the database to make queries? And if the evaluation of the system contribution of the private or public projects that you upload there?
Okay, yeah, it's possible. You can query the database by the apps that we have in the web page, and also we are developing an R package to be able to do programmatically queries to the database and use this data in your research, your decision making, whatever. About there is any evaluation of the ecosystem distribution of the private and public projects that are uploaded. Right now, all the projects that are uploaded are public. No, we don't have any evaluation in this case about the ecosystem contribution, I think.
Thank you very much, Victor.
Thank you.
Let's not let Besnik appropriate all the questions. So we have also a question directly for Sani. It's regarding your how you have measured if you have indicators for rare or protected species, or including protected habitats, as soon in Latvia you will have the information about the European Union habitats. It's from Sandra, so I let you answer. And Sandra, if you want to ask anything else, please go ahead.
We do not have, thank you for the question, we do not have indicators specifically for rare and threatened species or habitats, but this common international classification system, it actually is based on a premise that biodiversity is the basis for all ecosystem services, regardless of this section. So basically this, in a way, well, not to go very deep in the detail of the methodology, but basically these biodiversity-related assumptions, they are also included in the calculation of other ecosystem services, in a way. So we can discuss it with Sandra sometime, but I'm sure that it's methodology. We should go then quite deep into the methodology, I think. But then this forest. There was also, let me see the chat about this forest compartment potential as a habitat. Basically, we have these type of indicators also included in our methodology. So when it will be published, so it will be quite visible as well. And also, I have to say that it is an open system, and additional indicators can be added when we have new data available. I know that there is now habitat mapping data available, but it is not available yet. When it is available, we can put this information together and also update our system. So I guess it will be done also. Yeah. I hope I answered, but without going very much in the methodology.
Thank you. Anything else, Carlos? You want to ask anything else, or?
Yes, if we have time, yeah, it's still 5 minutes. Or
have a couple of minutes, so please.
Yes, I would just like to wrap up, to summarize and with a couple of ideas, and if you agree to give the floor to the panelists for a last answer or reflection on this. I think, as far as I know, at least the two Catalan examples, some other ones, I'm sorry, I don't know much more about that Latvian example. I think that the success of this kind of best practices, of real application of scientific information to the decision making, is probably based on I think three points or three pillars. So the first one is having a very good scientific team. So that will ensure that information is the best information we can have, with implication of all the experts in the regions or countries or on all that, and to make the effort to make this information available or really comprehensible to decision makers. So I feel I don't know, it's my experience, but maybe you don't agree, is that decision makers are implied in the projects from the very beginning. So they are in the table from the very beginning. So, and there you have that dialogue between scientists and decision makers for finding the exact questions that have to be answered, not other ones. That this is a balance. So not the question that maybe a scientist would like to make, not the question maybe a decision maker would like to have. No, not very difficult ones usually, but in the middle. So what questions are the key questions for our decisions, and what questions can really be answered with information we have. So this balance is really important. And I think that the third pillar maybe can be this public dissemination. So if all this information is available for all the stakeholders, it's easier to have a transparent process from the very beginning, and everything is fluent and easy from the beginning. I think that, at least for me, my experience and from your presentations, I think that these three can be the key points. But I would like to give you a last minute to wrap up your ideas on it. Of course, you do not have to agree with me, because you are the real experts in this. It's just my opinion. Thank you. So let's start on the reverse. Eduard, would you like to start?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think that this main idea to have the decision makers involved in the very beginning of the project, I said it in my presentation too, I think it's the more important, because I think it's the best way to go over different barriers that maybe can be political, but not always, and go over barriers that sometimes are imaginary barriers that we have inside us when we are decision makers. So, and working in a team with scientists, technicians, different experts from with different points of views, maybe can possibly make a change in the vision of the decision makers, and I think this is very, very positive. That's all.
Thank you, Eduard. I completely agree. And Victor, some final reflections? Yeah.
Yeah, I also agree with the three pillars that you stated before, and also I want to add that not only the transfer to the policy makers, that also the transfer to the general public. I mean, because sometimes these policy-making decisions can be like a dark or black box for the general public. But if you present with nice visualizations and people understand what, for example, ecosystem services are and start, oh, in my area this is this, and that also engage more participation of the public. And that's my take.
Absolutely, Victor. Thank you very much. Susanne, final ideas?
Yeah, I agree. I just say that I absolutely agree with these three pillars, and it's also about this public participation and information to the general public. That is our next step, and we definitely will engage in that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And if I can, I just would add to all the participants from many different regions that you can go ahead with the information you have, so don't be afraid. Just start. So do not wait for 10 years to have all the information updated. So I'm sure you have more information that you imagine, that is just spread it in research center, universities, and many different boxes. So just try to sit all the people in the same table, as it has been said, and don't be afraid to start this process that I'm sure that will give an added value to your decisions in your respective countries and regions. So for me, that's been really fantastic. Thank you, Enrique, and organizer, for inviting us. And that's all for me. Thank you, Enrique.
Thank you very much to you, Carlos, and to our guest. Again, very interesting. I like your final reasoning to wrap up some conclusions. So thank you again.